Hey, what is up, everyone? It's Rich. All right, welcome to Super Fun Sunday. You're like, Rich, what is up with the title of this video? No superheroes allowed? Not today, friends. Today, what we're gonna do is we're gonna lean towards the dark side. It should be actually really fun. Someone had suggested EC horror, and I started looking for different EC style horror. This isn't necessarily just a horror video, though, to be clear. But we're gonna look at a bunch of art, a lot of Mike Mignola. We're gonna look at Bernie Wrightson. We're gonna look at Wally Wood. We're gonna look at a couple of surprises, and it's an amazing batch of pages. We're going to try to knock this out in like 35 minutes, and there's a lot to look at. So let's get into full screen mode and do this. What's Super Fun Sunday? It's super fun. All right, so hopefully everyone's having a good day. I really wasn't sure if I was going to do a video or not today, and I was kind of leaning towards that I wasn't, and ultimately I did. So this is interesting. I really didn't realize that he was working on the Frankenstein pieces in 1980. I always thought it was like a 70s thing. That's kind of interesting. I learned something new just on the very first piece. I found this odd too, is that these scans from Heritage of this, a couple of the Wrightson pieces didn't seem very high res, which is very unusual for them. So I wasn't really sure why that was, because normally they're lickety split, nice high resolution things, but this is a little dull. I honestly thought maybe my eyes were playing a trick on me. I mean, look at how nice this is. I mean, it's like practically feel like you're in front of the art. We've looked at this piece before in other Wrightson videos, but I did actually, that was another thing, is I did really actually make an effort to grab things that we hadn't looked at before. So that will be really neat too. Is you're definitely, I mean, there was art that I had never seen. So even if you feel like you've seen it all, there'll probably be something in here that you haven't seen. Me thinks. If I haven't seen it, doesn't mean that no one's not seen or like never seen that particular thing. But my point is that everyone has little things that they've never checked out. Man, this is great. See, and this is nice high resolution scan. I'm not sure what's going on with those other ones. I might have to go back and check it out someday. But yeah, this is amazing stuff. Bernie Wrightson Frankenstein is just the shiznit. Really, really cool. I know at least one person that owns one of these, and that's got to be a pretty cool feeling. It's not me. But yeah, goodness gracious. These are juggernaut pieces. This is cool. Yeah, I like the idea of an EC sort of themed video, but like I said, I'm not a real EC expert, and I felt like this had potential. So they may kind of go in order because of the file names, because on Heritage they're just sort of generic file names, and so we may like look at all the rights in kind of in one chunk and then move on to the next artist. But there's no duds in here, that's for sure. So this is 1972, so this is 8 years before that other piece. But I'm curious if maybe in the interim he did the Frankenstein stuff. So maybe from like 1974 to 1980 was the Frankenstein era, because you can see that he's getting to that point here. The lines are starting to get pretty crazy. This is a cool piece. He's really good at coloring his own stuff. I've always thought that Bernie had a real knack for it. He's so good with this too. This sort of wind up with the hands on like axes and stuff like that. 1978. He was, a lot of these artists were more prolific than you might think, just based on the level of detail and kind of awesomeness, but they were definitely into it. So this is 1969. Oh, this is really cool. We have so many images to look at. Oh man, it's gonna be fun. You know, my recommendation too is if you see something and I move a little fast through it, just you can always slow the video down or pause it and then take a good long gander. This was pretty cool. Again, always, not always, he really draws a lot of times hands holding clubs and stuff like that. It's so cool. Yeah, the last week was interesting. I'm definitely going to take a day or two off from YouTube, though. Monday and Tuesday. I mean, tomorrow I have to do lessons and reviews for Patreon. I'm going to do an inking video for them. But, yeah, give me a couple of days to let my brain sort of soak in everything that we've looked at, because it's a little overwhelming. The last video that I shot, I was like going like, oh my gosh. This is sort of my reward. I've got a bunch of Mike Mignola in here, which is just stuff that I absolutely love. So we'll hit a huge chunk of Mignola coming up here in a little bit. I thought this was really nice. This didn't look super familiar to me, to be honest. I love this, like the lit up area right here is really cool. Yeah, really neat. We can get a little bigger on that. This guy's face is awesome too. Oh, Bernie is so awesome. So this is Basil Gogo. Basil Gogo. Figured if we were gonna do stuff that was non-superhero, throw in a couple of his paintings. He's really good. I probably in maybe one video, the Halloween special one, I might have thrown in a piece or two. I think his stuff is interesting, and it's something that you might not see in a regular sort of YouTube video very commonly. So, I have a few pieces of him in here. Some more Wrightson. Do you dare enter the House of Mystery? Oh, we dare. We do dare. This guy's hand has seen better days. Oh man, this is one of my favorites. I just love this piece. I've seen this in person. Art dealer had it. It was like an auction house. Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe I was seeing it in person. That's so cool. Another artist with nice handwriting. Beautiful penmanship, Mr. Wrightson. Oh, this is just another scam. This is like more high-res. No. This was cool. There was a few, like, almost like complete stories, I think, from Wrightson. And or Wally Wood, too. The Wally Wood stuff that I grabbed is really, really cool. And it's horror and kind of science fiction is where this video sort of seems to exist, which is groovy. You know, we did a lot of kind of American superhero stuff the last like 10 days, so nice to mix things up a little bit. If you have recommendations of art outside of even comics, let me know, because I love checking out. You know, I'm a huge fan of concept art and stuff like that, and movie design and stuff like that. So if there's anything you want us to kick around, let me know. I'd definitely give it a shot. I'm actually, when I shoot videos like this, what's exciting for me is when I get to watch it back later. You know, I'll put it on when I'm working or something like that, and that's when I really get a chance to kind of check out the art a little bit more closely. Doing the video, it's tough, and I you know, I miss things. This is really cool. Man, that is great. What a cool panel that is. I love this over here, too. I tried to with Mignola. I mean, it was tempting because he's done so many freaking covers. There's the bazillion little spot illustrations of Hellboy just kind of standing there. But I tried to grab sequentials because I think Mignola is a very interesting sequential artist. But kind of the same with Wrightson. When I had an opportunity to grab sequentials, kind of went for it because I always think that's really cool to see great artists do great sequentials, you know. 1982. The This is a detail of this piece. I thought it would be kind of cool to grab this too. This is, I think this is the cover. Oh no, I grabbed the other one. This is definitely, I'm nearly sure, in the artist edition that I have of Bernie Wrightson. This is cool too. This. I love this, the light right here. This. He even put a little bit of screen tone, like Zipatone, on this. That's funny. His stuff is so detailed, you almost... It's like... I wouldn't... I don't know how often that he used it. Now I'm kind of interested. I'll have to keep an eye on that in other comics and stuff that I see of his. This was cool. This piece had sold twice. So this is an unfinished Frankenstein. So at some point he abandoned it. Probably it just wasn't working for him. Sometimes that happens, you know. I think, you know, you have to understand when you're doing a project like this. I mean, you're learning to do it as you do the pieces, and you know, you learn as much from the successes or mistakes as you do the successes. Sometimes more, you know. What I found doing like the black drawing pieces that I did, which you can see on my Instagram if you're curious what I'm talking about, but I did these very, very detailed pen and ink pieces. And I would have happy accidents where I would just kind of fall ass backwards into an idea or a technique that really looked cool. And then I would carry that over into like the next pieces and try to like emulate what I had kind of stumbled upon. And then, you know, I don't think I had any like crash and burn, but the style evolved quite a bit over the first like 5 or 6 pieces that I did. I was learning each piece kind of like what I liked and what I didn't. So, but before that, not with pen and ink, but I remember goofing around with like watercolor and stuff like that. I would mess up all the time, and just like you spend all this time on a piece and then you screw it up, and you're just like, God dang it, seriously? I'd always do it super late at night too. The mistake, you know, where it's like, just I should have left it alone, and you go back to the board one last time to tinker with something. I'm gonna fix that eye. That eye was bugging me. I want to put just, if I darken the pupil, and then you do it, and you're like, oh, okay, that looks worse, and then it's downhill from there. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad that I don't do that anymore. Oh, what a mess. So this was interesting. This sold for over $1 million. It was 1,200,000. I'm going to try to lighten the color a little bit, just so that the paper isn't so yellow. But, yeah, I shall be with you on your wedding night. Smooches, smooches, Frankenstein. Mass is so crazy. Again, not the most high resolution scan. I'm not sure what the deal is with these. If they were, I've never seen them purposely not provide a great scan, because they've sold stuff that's more expensive than this, and this is Wally Wood. This is interesting. So these were 2 little spot illustrations that were at the end of a story, but we're gonna go backwards through a comic book story. But these are nice. I think this was done for Mad Magazine. It's really good. It's got like Marlon Brando, and I think it's Mutiny on the Bounty, or you know, it's Mad Magazine, so of course it's a spoof on it. But he did a great job. There's some good stuff in here. I'm always impressed by people that can draw galleons, like these old ships. It's a lot of stuff to handle. A lot of unusual shapes, perspective, overlapping, curves. Yeah, it's tricky stuff. It's interesting because Wood, like a lot of times, his application of like white and this gray stuff that he puts on, I don't know what the paint is, if it's acrylic or gouache or what it is, but he lays it on pretty thick. It's pretty cool. we got quite a bit of Wally Wood, so we can kind of move faster here. There was the first piece. I kind of grabbed these to save them for myself. I think this was close to page 1, or this is page 2. His Brando's pretty good. Like this guy's gesture. Oh, this was the one that got me to check out the story. I saw this and I was like, "Ooh, baby." Look, like I would assume Mort Drucker was working for Mad Magazine at this time. I could be wrong, but Mort Drucker, man, he crushed these types of things too. Mad Magazine had really great. So this was interesting. This is as close as we get to superheroes. Is he had some Doctor Doom stuff that I really wasn't aware that he had done. So I thought it was kind of fun to throw it in. And Doom is kind of, like a little, sort of sword and sorcery or fantasy, like mythological kind of vibe to him, more than like spandex, This was cool. There's a little bit of nudity on a couple of these pieces. Nothing too crazy, but anyway. Wally Wood could get pretty edgy, though. That is for sure. What was interesting is Heritage made me sign in for this page, but didn't have me sign in for the other, which I found kind of odd. But these are the only two that had any kind of sort of adult content, I guess, sort of. We're all naked under our clothes, right, friends? This is pretty cool. Wally Wood. Man, that's so crazy. Had no idea. This was really cool. I'm going to show you this small because I saw the thumbnail of this and I was like, wow, what is this? This looks so cool. I love what he did up here. This is just so powerful. Man, it's cool looking. Dynamo. He did there was a few different Dynamo comic stories that he had done. I'm not familiar with the character as far as I know. Now, I do have the Wally Wood Artist Edition. I haven't had it in my office in a couple of years, though, but maybe some Dynamo stuff is in there. This was nice, too. Kind of trippy. She's, like, taking her face off. It's, like, got a very, like, Twilight Zone kind of vibe to me. This sculpture appears in another piece, too. That's funny, because I saved it because it was so unusual, but I don't know what this represents in the story. But you'll see in another few images, I saved a full splash page that has something very similar to that. She's cute, though. Oh, I guess we do have a little bit more of this. I actually grabbed it because of the Zipatone. Funny enough. It's like, ooh, Zipatone. And he does this stuff so great. Actually, if you look at just this right here, it has a little bit of like kind of like how Adam Hughes does stuff like this. But it's pretty cool. Wally Wood does the best moons ever. I thought this was so cool. I love stuff like this. Man, when I was a kid, I would draw stuff like this. Not at this level, believe me, but I would draw this thing called Mount Navarone, the Guns of Navarone, and I would do a cutaway of this mountain. And I would draw rooms and stuff like that of all the characters. Somewhere I've got I have a few of the drawings. If I ever find them, I'll throw them in a video or something. But yeah, this is really cool. I love stuff like this. This is probably one of my favorite pieces that I grabbed, honestly, just because it's like so similar to something that I would kind of attempt but never get even remotely near. But man, it's so good. It's interesting seeing this. It kind of reminds me of something else from when I was a kid. Is I had the Jack Ham cartooning book, and also the oh god, what are they called? Is it Walter Foster? I had like 3 cartooning books, the Jack Ham one, and then these other ones that had like a dancing alligator and a hippo in it. I think those are Walter Foster. They were really good though, but man, I would have killed this This is kind of similar to that thing that was on the thing, and I'm assuming it's from the same comics, so Dynamo again, but it's pretty interesting stuff. This almost has a little bit of a Brian Boland feel, just because of the feathery looking lines. Really neat. Zoom out so you kind of soak in. Yeah, it's kind of like got a little bit of a Boland flair to it. This was a whole story. We'll go through this kind of fast, but it's kind of cute. Alfred Newman looks a little tore up here. He looks like he's like had a rough night. He's like a little scarier than he normally looks. This was funny. I don't know what's going on, but I don't know if they're changing clothes and they keep walking in, or if these are just different parties they had at their house. But this one's funny. They come in nude. It's pretty funny. This was the page that got me where I was like, oh, okay, I want to check out this story. Love this top panel. It's so cool. Oh my gosh, it's so great. These little drawings, these caricatures are so good. It's interesting too, because these, I used to draw I call them Don Martin feet, but Don Martin did a strip in Mad Magazine, and I wonder if Don got it from Wally Wood. Yeah, it's like the curved toes and the shoe, the tip of the shoe would always be bent. I mean, that's kind of an old school, just cartooning gag. This is another one of the Wally Wood Doom pages. So pretty cool, pretty cool. This was nice. Really, really pretty girl. This is called V Vampires, right? Yeah. I'm so close to the monitor, it's actually hard to read it. I'm sitting in front of a Cintiq, but I'm super close to it. But this is classic, man. She's got quite a stride going. She's in a hurry. This was kind of cool. Alrighty. Oh, classic piece. This is the cover of my Wally Wood Artist Edition right here. So this is 2003 Heritage. So this sold a long time ago. I'll tell you what, whoever bought this probably got a pretty good deal, even though at the time it was expensive, but this thing would be worth a small fortune now for sure. I guarantee they paid a lot for it when they bought it, but art prices just keep going up and up and up. This was pretty cool. I like this. Man, that's cool looking. Well, I'd say we look at some pretty kick-ass art on my channel. I know that there's a lot of comic book related channels now. There didn't used to be as many when I first started. You know, I feel like I approach it in my own way. Just try to do what comes naturally to me. And at some point, you know, we may drift away from this and do less videos on this and do something else. I didn't really want to have a tutorial channel. Like David Finch's channel has a lot of like how-tos. I didn't really want to do that with my channel. I mean, I have the ability to do it, but I kind of keep that on Patreon. Just because, I mean, obviously it could be successful, but it's just not really what I wanted to have as my major thing. I think part of it is just because I'm very early in my penciling career. Well, I'm not my inking career, but yeah. I mean, I've always kind of just trusted my instincts. It's not a real good way to teach people. I've had to learn the real stuff, but I mean, it's like I still kind of just go by my gut, and it's hard to explain that to someone. Like look at it, and if it doesn't look right, then fix it. That's not really very concrete advice. Stuff is so cool, man. Oh my gosh, I love the way that he drew all this stuff. I don't know what that is, but that is super creepy looking. Alright, we gotta roll, because this video is going to take forever. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but... We still have a lot to get through. I'm actually kind of glad that the Mignola is sort of towards the end, though. It's some of my favorite. This is such a badass piece. Man, this is cool. I didn't recognize this, which I was surprised, because I would have bet money that I've gone through Heritage and grabbed Wally Wood files before, but it must have been a long time ago, because I don't remember this. This is cool too. This kind of fit the theme of science fiction, horror, weird stuff, a little bit of non-superhero fare for everyone to reboot. Look at this. This is wild. Dang. Yeah, Wally Wood, he was pretty crazy. This was cool. This piece had sold more than once. I'd mentioned in some of the other videos that it's interesting when a piece seems to change hands more than others. Couldn't tell you why that is. This is another story. We won't look at all of these just because we have so many files to go through. Pretty cool stuff, though. It's interesting because, I mean, Wally Wood really has a wide breadth of ability, because these faces are comic book realistic-ish, but he's also just a great cartoonist where he can get cartoony. Not everyone's that diverse. I always like panels like this, swampy. This was the page that caught my eye when I saw it. I was like, ooh, this looks good. What's this all about? What's this? Nowlands. That's where Kelsey is. I actually dropped Kelsey a note last night through Twitter. We'll see if I hear back from him. And Kelsey, if you're watching this, what's up, dude? 1948. Goodness gracious. Okay. We've got some Frazetta in here, too. I didn't tell you that, but there's a little bit. I picked unusual pieces, though. You'll see what I did. I grabbed a couple of paintings, but then the other stuff is stuff that wouldn't normally... You thought I'd pick good... Yeah, you thought I'd pick good pieces, right? Thank you. My cat knows. Yeah, what is it? Did you just say my name, Richard? This cat is very smart. And she's a big Frazetta fan. She likes Sarah. This is so awesome. Oh my gosh. This is a crazy scene. Jolting tales of tension in the tradition. Oh, in the EC tradition. Shock, suspense stories. Yeah, she's cute. The last piece kind of reminded me a little bit of Joe Chido. Okay, so here we are. We're getting into the Mignola. Mignola. Uncle Creepy, Vampirella. I don't know if this was a Harris tribute piece. I'm not super familiar with this character. I don't know who this character is. He looks a little bit like a character that Basil Gogos drew, or however you say his name. It's a sequential. Like I said, try to grab some sequentials from Mike just because I think that they're fun. Look at that. That's a nice page. Oh yeah. Looks like Princess Leia. What's going on, Princess Leia? I know it's not her. This This piece is awesome. We had this in another video before. I don't know if it was like the Halloween one or something, but man, I remember this. Bong bong. What time is it? It's bong bong time. Oh man, I love Mike Mignola stuff so much. You know, if you've never, I would assume most people that follow my channel have seen what his originals look like. But like in the comic book, you know, you see the black and it looks like this. It's like super black and kind of looks like it's all filled in, kind of deal like that. But you know, Mike uses very translucent black ink. It's very watery, and he gets all this like cool stuff that, to me, that's part of the reason I love seeing his originals is like all the strokes. Stroke it, bong bong. It's my new album. Stroke it, bong bong. Horse is cool. But yeah, you know, the first artist edition that they did of Mike's stuff, I think what ended up happening is that the files that they used were scans off the original art, but I think that they had been prepared possibly for color, and so the second book that they did, which is the Amazing Screw-On Head and Other Curious Objects Artists Edition, is Artist Edition. The other one is, I guess they're Hellboy in Hell. Hellboy in Hell doesn't have this look as much. Screw-On Head does. Some of the additional stories do, but yeah, this is what I want to see, is this just translucent black. I just think it makes his pages look so cool. This is a great thing. Mignola is actually very influential to me. I don't know if it shows in my work anymore or right now, but I think we're both Frazetta fans too, so we have that in common. But I just, when I first started collecting, Mike immediately just became one of my favorite artists. Hellboy was so different than anything else that really was coming out at that time too. So there wasn't any, you know, there was no Image book. Maybe Jay Lee came the closest. I'm not talking about style, but I mean, was doing stuff that was a little off the grid. I'm sure there were others, but yeah, Mike and Hellboy really was just like, oh man, this is so cool. Frank Miller too, I loved. Man, this is so good. I need to do a new Frank Miller video. I wish I could get more of the 300 stuff in black and white, or like off of the originals. This is really cool. Man, that statue is creepy. And Mike is a fantastic like hand colorist too. When he hand colors these pieces or does full color without the black ink, oh my god, I love him. I actually got his quarantine sketchbook. I haven't seen it in a while. I don't even know where it is right now. It's got to be in here, right? Or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it went out in my storage. But yeah, I got the quarantine sketchbook. I was kind of hoping they would have some of those watercolor pieces in it, and it didn't. I was like, oh man, come on, Mike. Do me a solid, bro. This cow's cool. Man, it's really, really creepy. Creepy! This is from Seed of Destruction. You could see the style's a little different, you know? A little darker ink, you know? All these things just evolved for him. At some point, he probably had a happy accident and went, you know, these pages look kind of cooler with the watery ink. And then he just kept doing it. Man, it's intense. I'm coming. One of my favorite Hellboy pages is when he jumps out of the plane and he's trying to get, I think it's his parachute to open, and it's click, 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 click. I thought that was so funny. Actually, this is really funny too. Is I was in the office with Scott Doombeer when Mike Mignola called him and wanted to share a character name with Scott to see if he thought it was cool, and it was Lobster Johnson, and Mike just thought that was hysterical. I couldn't hear Mike talking. I was just standing there, and Scott was on the phone with him. But that was basically the phone call that they were having. Was, what do you think of this name? Kind of funny. That would have been 1995 ish. Or yeah, I'm nearly sure it was Lobster Johnson. Now I'm like, oh, now I'm like, I should check the book and see when that character appeared. Was Lobster Johnson in Seed of Destruction? Maybe he had some other characters' names that he was bouncing off Scott, and I just remember it as Lobster Johnson. Now I'm doubting. Now I'm doubting the timeline. It was definitely 95 that Scott was talking on the phone. This is cool. Very early in Mike's career. It's funny because although you can tell that it's Mike's stuff, I mean, this is not the most exciting pose. You know, he looks like he just woke up. We've all done it. Ooh, some Dracula with the Klimt gown. So this was inked by John Nyberg. Is that right? It was inked by someone, not Mike. I thought he did a pretty good job on it. It looked good. Only Beast. Tom Coker is a big fan of Mignola and had to do wolves, and he was doing his wolves like that. Lobo. This is a little superhero-ish. Like I said, I took a little liberties. There's some skull-like things on this, though, so it made it okay. That's how I justified it in my head. This was interesting. I guess this is how the person framed this piece of original art. So they've got the comic, they've got the original, and then all this matte, and then this looks like the film. Like to print off of. You know, I will say this, though, this is kind of interesting, is I wonder if this is hand-colored by Mike. I always thought that this piece was a color piece with black ink. I actually did, because this looks so much like Mike's hand colors. I wonder what that might be. Maybe he colored it on acetate or something. Or it's the color guide and there's acetate over it. That might be what it is. Is like if you lifted this, there would be a sheet of paper with the film on top of it. I was like this. I've definitely seen this piece before, but this is pretty cool. Kind of, it's like trippy. It's like, oh, I guess I thought he was an astronaut. I don't know. I thought these were like soldiers, and then I thought this guy was an astronaut that was like coming out of his thing, but I think it's just his helmet or something. Like he has one of the round helmets. This is cool. Okay, so now we're getting into the Frazetta stuff. So a lot of what I grabbed from Frank was prelims. I thought that would be something fun, a little different, and possibly maybe more approachable for people that are interested in trying to learn to do new things, but don't have the monster chops of a finished Frazetta painting or pen and ink piece. But these, still masterfully done, may trigger some sort of experimental qualities in you. So I thought it might be nice to put in something a little different. This is a sketch that Frank did. You're going to see in a second what this is tied into. So it was, this person had bought the prelim of Conan the Adventurer. So he's got the prelim, which actually is interesting because these really have the old colors. This piece ended up getting repainted, and Frank put a lot of hot colors on it. I think I have it hanging. Yeah, I have a copy of it hanging in my office. It's much more yellow and super saturated, but he really kept a lot of this cool background in it, and all this stuff is pretty similar. Is the girl in the same pose? I'm looking at my wall and just kind of checking it out. It's pretty close. But he got a real nice prelim because it really kind of captures the feel of this. And then this was just an extra drawing that he must have picked up of Frank's that was of Conan. Frazetta gave me the preliminary sketch for which he worked. There you go. Interesting. Thank you for sharing that with us. And then this is the thing. Really cool. This looks like colored pencil. This stuff. I'm not sure what this could be. His Mickey Mouse paints. Oh, so this is interesting. I didn't realize he was fully frontally nude. um, yeah, this was a cool piece. Excuse me. I didn't really recognize it. Wasn't 100% sure if I've seen it or not. Parts of it looked familiar and parts of it didn't. But it's really, really cool. Man, his inks are so good. Man, he could draw. Cool feet. Yeah, it's pretty badass. All right, let's continue. These were sketches. I think we're on the other side of it, or on the other side of one of the prelims. Not that. We'll see it in a second. I think it's a Death Dealer prelim. Yeah, look at that. He's got some notes we'll read. We'll get nosy and see what he wrote down underneath it. God, those are so cool. Snow Princess figures lit up by red sun mountain, pinkish sky dark, foreground purple, skirt on Death Dealer. Death Dealer, he's dealing you death. Alright. Look at that. That's so cool. Now, I didn't grab a ton of Frazetta. We're heading towards the end of the video, believe it or not. So I didn't want to make this one of my monster megalithic super fun size. This is cool too. Steve McNiven owns one of these prelims, maybe more than one, but I know he shared it online one time. But I remember when they were selling these, I mentioned that to Sarah Frazetta, as I remember when they were going up on Heritage years ago, it was just out of my price range. They weren't ridiculously expensive. If I remember correctly, I think they were going for around $3,000 to $9,000, somewhere around there, $3,000 to $9,000. Something that sounds about right at the time. Frank would have been alive though, still at that point too. But it's just not something that I was. You didn't have the money for that either, Kitty. I understand. Yeah, I know you're on a budget. Well, I love these pieces. This is some of my favorite Frazetta pen and ink. Is this era of stuff? I think they call these Doubleday. He has a Doubleday. This is his. Let me. This is Stretch. Let me just go like this and pull it down a little bit. Old Heritage scans. This is another one, man. Whoever bought this and bought it a while ago, holy crap, did they score? This thing is just like. Frank is teasing Wally Wood a little bit, so he did a piece that's very reminiscent of Wood's stuff. And one thing that Wood admired about Frank, I always tell this story, is Frank's like hands and stuff like that. So Frank really played it up, like with the twist of the figures and stuff like that. Wood felt that his stuff was a little more his own stuff was a little more static. But man, this is right out of a Wally Wood comic for sure. Frank crushed it. These, like I said, I grabbed I think one or two paintings, maybe only one, but I thought this was nice. Something, I mean, not different, but you know what I mean. Like, I might have grabbed one other. I'm trying to remember. This is the classic Frazetta hand. I know Finch would use this occasionally in some of his pieces back in the day. Okay, I grabbed this. I love this piece. I could look at this every day. It's if I know that I have a scan of this like this and I went back like a week from now, I would save it again just in case. But this is beautiful. I saw this piece in person too, and I'll tell you what, I'm smiling right now, huge, just even thinking about it. I mean, dude, like, it's so crazy. It's so good. It's so beautiful. And it screams Frazetta. It's just like, man, when you see a Frazetta, you know you're in for a treat. If you've seen Paint with Fire, that's like when they're talking about Frank's art. look at this. Oh, what? Get him. I would like to show the frame in this. I thought that was kind of a funny little, not funny touch, but just a little different. Again, you're used to seeing this in a book, not like how it was, how it exists in real life. Okay, and then that's what, more similar. This looks like it's stretched a little bit. I can tell the dimensions of the file. Another Wrightson. So this is an unfinished, another unfinished Frankenstein. Really cool. Fairly tight pencils. He would work this stuff out. I actually have a prelim that we're going to see in a second from Bernie that is really, really interesting. Okay, so we're hitting a little bit more Wrightson. This is nice. This is like a pretty casual and yet quite detailed piece, but you can tell that this is almost like a con sketch in a way. I mean, it may have been used for more than that, but it's like there was an expediency that he was putting in some of the parts, way more than you would see on some of his more hyper rendered pieces. And that was from 1976. This is a detail of this was too rich. Thank you. I'll take it. This is the cover for the reprint, or it was the you'll see more in a second when I go to the next scan. Or it was the they did a book that was like the unused Frankenstein plates, and I think this is the title page from it. I think that's what they credited it as. Again, I'm still not 100% sure what the deal is with the lower resolution scans on the Wrights and stuff. I find that very odd. I mean, they're nice big scans, but not really Heritage's quality. A beautiful calligraphy here. Man, it's nice. This is really cool. With pictures by Bernie Wrightson. See, he didn't have the E on his name then. It kind of came and went a little bit. Excuse me. So this is a prelim for a piece that I think I actually have the finished version of it in here. But you can see how he's testing the luminous qualities of the light source. Like what is this light up in the picture, And then there's looks like maybe a lake or something back here that's catching maybe moonlight. Really cool. Oh man, it's so nice. Now that's commitment when you'll do that much of a prelim drawing. So this is called like the head in the jar, or the thing in the jar. It is really weird. Perfect for this video. Yeah, I was like, what in the world is this? Look at this thing. Kevin Nolan did the short story in Batman Black and White that had a little creepy dude in a jug. Jug-a-lug. I apologize for clearing my throat. It was something. My allergies have kind of, last couple of weeks, have been sort of coming and going. Really cool stuff, man. I can't wait to watch this video back. I'm telling you, like it's good doing it. It's even better when I get to watch it back. You get to watch it back the first time. You didn't have to narrate and catch all your mistakes when you watch it back. You're like, how many times did I call Lanil Wills? Twice. 2 times in a row I said it. I was like, oh, dude, seriously? What's wrong with you? I'm telling you, my brain was toast, though. That was too many influence chains. I couldn't have gone. Like, we still had another 22 years of comics we could have poured through. I would have never made it. That was me. That's how I felt when I got to the last one. I was like, who was in the influence chain? I can barely remember. So much art. It was fun, though. Fun to do. This is great. Again, always someone with a shovel or some sort of weapon in Bernie's world. Dude, this is so nice back here. Oh my gosh, I love this. Look at that. Woo, sexy. When I said that, it reminded me of my friend Joel Gomez. I don't know if any of you know Joel. He works for Brian Pulido and does, I think, La Muerta is the book. Joel's real nice, but Joel worked at Top Cow. He was Mark Silvestri's assistant. He was the assistant for Michael Turner. He came to Wildstorm and assisted Jim for a while, and then started doing his own work. But Joel's just a great guy. I really enjoyed the time that we had together at Wildstorm. But when I said that, it sounded like that he turned me on to a lot of artists too. He knew his shit. He'd gone to Art Center. I can't remember if he graduated from Art Center, but he went to Art Center. I miss the Wildstorm studio. Damn. I don't think about it a lot, but oh man, it was so cool. So many good artists came through there. It's just really incredible. This is such a great piece. This is nice. I always get a kick out of when I see dry brush, like this kind of stuff. It's just, I've never really used it very much in my own work. Michael Lopez, who I always will say, I always mention Michael Lopez. I always assume that most people don't know who he is, but his DeviantArt gallery is still up. It's not really his best stuff on it, but Mike would do China marker and Prisma black pencil sometimes on his pieces and really get some very, very cool effects with it. It was super cool looking. So I've always wanted to use it. These videos have really given me a lot of ideas. I mean, I know that I had said, even going into the Influence Chain videos, that I was a little fried on superheroes and just had kind of I almost needed a break from them. But I'm telling you, like, looking at Neil Adams, George Perez, and all the stuff that we looked at really, really rekindled my passion for that type of stuff. And it was cool. It was nice to see. I love this. This has got the Kevin Nolan vibes, I always say whenever I show this piece. Kevin Nolan did a piece that's really similar to that, in fact. Might have been a little nod to this. This is cool. Can't go wrong with the buxomy boobs almost hanging out. And then you got a wolf and a cool hat. It's like Saturday night in the forest. This is another Wrightson Frankenstein plate. Man, these are so good. I grabbed these pieces too because the thing is they would have tighter scans. I liked being able to see the border. I liked being able to see the writing up here. It made the experience, I thought, a little more interesting than just a tight shot of the art. And also, like, it's fun to see, like, did they use whiteout along the edges or do they stop, like, at the border, etc. Okay. Ooh, look at this. This is so cool. Wrightson, 1978. Great time, man. 1978. There was some good stuff going on. Great movies, music. Van Halen dropped. He might have been listening to Van Halen when he drew this and had just come from seeing Star Wars. Or Empire was later. Here's the piece that we were looking at finished. I didn't realize it was a painting, but... It's not a great scan of it. I don't know what is going on. A lot of these Wrightson scans are a little dull. They need to up their Wrightson game. Still crossing my fingers that IDW will at some point do an artist edition, or someone will do an artist edition of Bernie Wrightson Frankenstein. Some people were telling me the last time that I mentioned Wrightson in a video that I think that it was happening. There's a little more Mignola, one of his color pieces. So hopefully it does. I mean, I'd probably get 2 copies of it, to be honest. One to take care of and sort of have in my archive, and then one that I can look at and not be so freaked out about, really enjoying it, I take good care of my stuff, but still. So this is another Basil Gogos piece. Really cool. Very wild colors, very like strokey paint strokes, and just a very, very identifiable style. His colors that he uses, like pinks, purples, greens. I mean, it's like a rainbow of color in his pieces. This is great too. These all remind me of, like, they could just be on like every monster magazine that was coming out in the 70s and 80s. It's like Boris Karloff special. And here we go. Monsters of Filmland. This actually was more... I saw a different scan of it. I'll pull the saturation up a little bit, but his color palette really kind of sits more in this range. You think so too, Kitty, right? You're a big Basil Gogos fan. I'm under the impression that Kirk Hammett owns a few of his paintings. Kirk Hammett's got a pretty badass art collection. I'm gonna bump up the saturation on this just a tiny bit too. Yeah, Kirk Hammett's got a pretty insane art collection. Oh man, that's so cool. Look at that. I love this with the cobweb on this candelabra, I guess. I don't know what you call this. Wall hanging candle. Oh, no, we're at the end. All right, look, you guys have an excellent day. This probably did go a little over what I planned on it, but that's all right. I think we had a good time. Everyone take it easy, and give me a day or two to sort of just let everything marinate and settle in, and I'll come back with some new videos, and I'll see you guys then. So, all right, have a great day. Bye.